So, they look like they're abstract works, but for me, they're not. For me, this is a story. Nice to meet you. Come on in.
Yep.
Such a beautiful house. Isn't it neat? It's an artist's house. We love living here. The community is really nice. My fairies, I built fairies for a long time. So I hung all these fairies and then they got adopted. I had them adopted to make money for the Children's Wish Foundation. So you know the idea of fairies granting wishes. This is my new favorite. That's an important one now. I mean, it's called Lovers Now 3. What I do is a process called mixed media, which is a combination of painting and photography. So how I do it is I have my camera with me all the time. I take pictures all day long of everything. I went to the woods and I enjoyed the idea of how do people proclaim their love. So I literally take the images and I rip them up. And then these are the photographs that end up on my collage. This photograph ended up in this one called Pink and Red. You can see that the edges are very, very tiny. I don't want any buildup of paint. So I put my photos on, I do a collage, and then I paint on top of it, and then I look at it. And I turn it. I'm looking at it until I find something that means something to me.
Depending on what a person sees, does it say a bit about their personality?
I would think that it's true that you're going to see what your experiences are, who you are. I mean, I think there's a link. But it's neat how I don't paint what I saw. It's like waking up with a dream and you don't have any idea what the dream was or that you didn't make your dream. You wake up with it and it's kind of like, oh, what did that mean?
You work on your art every day or you just like spend a certain amount of time?
That's a really good question. I think the want is that we would love to be in the studio all the time. It's not realistic. Then I heard the 80-20 rule where it's 80% of the time is work and 20% is production. That's probably more realistic because being an artist isn't only holding a paintbrush and cleaning a paintbrush. Being an artist is about making my website, making my business card, doing the networking, doing your follow-up, applying to galleries, applying to shows. So this is a huge amount of sitting in front of a computer and working. A lot of artists really do have to have something else behind them, especially when you're building up. I think very few artists that I know were pure artists all their life. I'm very fortunate that I was building rustic furniture that supported me being an artist. So I had an artistic kind of outlet, but doing that and selling it allowed me to be an artist. All those skills that I learned about how to market myself and how to sell my products and how to price it was nice to bring over into doing for the artwork. So I learned things doing that I was able to learn and use for being an artist. But the struggling part is definitely a part of it. Having people that support you, surrounding yourself with people that believe in you, because there's going to be times when you don't believe in yourself. At some point you got to ask yourself those questions. It's like, is this right for me? And we have to believe in ourselves. And at some point it's not necessarily an easy road, that's for sure. But the thing is, if you're doing it part-time, it's never going to become serious either. At a certain time you have to turn it from something you do for pleasure, or you're saying, okay, this is something I want to do. You have to make room to do it. You have to have a certain amount of, those 10,000 hours of expertise before you become good at something. I guess the funny part is that I've been in suburbia for a long time. That's not exactly the easiest place to be an artist. It became that, Kim, oh, well, you're the artist in town. So even though it was kind of funny at first, I remember my first projects where I was working on garden structures with the branches, and I'd be driving down the street with a big vine hanging off the back of my car. My neighbors would kind of look at me like, okay, what's she doing? And then once they started to get to know that this is what I did and that I had these creative ideas and I was always making things, it was more like, oh, so what's your project this time, Kim? What are you going to be building? And something crazy would show up on my front lawn for a project or a job I was doing for the botanical gardens, and I had like 4 humongous presents made out of branches on my front lawn. So again, the environment was encouraging, and because they recognized that I was contributing something to the creative world, they were all very good about it. I mean, they kind of might have looked at me kind of funny at first, but after a while it was kind of like, yeah, you're the creative person in town. So it was never shunned or looked down on. But that's not true that that's the case for everybody. there's environments where parents are not as accepting or understanding of that, and that must be tough. So I think my suggestion would be just make sure that you then go and find an environment or make one. There's nothing to say that you can't get a bunch of people that are like-minded. I mean, I think a lot of famous and good products that have been designed is because people came together with great ideas and everybody else thought they were nuts. I would be assured that not all environments are conducive to people being artists, but when you have to do what you gotta do, you do it. The way to get it out there is to be good at business. Get good at business. And at first, I didn't know that, and I was an artist a long time, and I did my degree, and I graduated from UQuam. There was nothing to do with business in there, so I scuffled. I, tried everything I could, and okay, do the shows and have exhibitions and be in one-man shows and do group shows, but eventually you still have to get the work out. We work alone a lot. You get into this kind of zone and space, and it's a bit dangerous as an artist to become too reclusive, I think, and not forcefully reclusive. It's just the nature of the job tends to be, I guess, like computer programmers who work at home and are alone all day. The thing is that if you're a computer programmer selling your work, well then, you're still got the job. But as an artist, it's really important to get out there and network. So it was a challenge for me to step out of that comfort zone and be able to say, okay, I got to start networking. And I joined some really wonderful networks in Montreal. One of them is Youth Employment Services. Yes, Montreal has been a huge help for me because what it did is I got a personal business coach visit every 5 weeks. And so what was really cool about that is that I was actually able to learn the business side of being an artist. So, it's one thing to have the business card, but what's it supposed to say? So, my first business card, people look at it and say, well, I have no idea what you do. As an artist, you have to do it all. You design your business card, you take your photographs, you do your accounting. Unless you have any money behind you, which most of us don't at the beginning, you've got to do it all. So then you need kind of input from people that are going to, be honest but kind. The other one that's really amazing in Montreal is called the English Language Artists Network, ELAN. And for young artists, actually it's artists of all ages in Montreal. It's a fabulous organization that runs conferences and does interviews with established artists so that you can go and participate in some of their conferences. So that's been an incredible, again, it's about networking with other artists in Montreal, and you can kind of take it and leave it on your own bait, what you're comfortable with. So that's been a really good one. And then getting online, learning how to be present online. So, I think that's not the youth's challenge right now. They kind of know. But even if you know, it's not just about knowing, but it's about how do you use it as a tool to promote yourself. A few years back now, I started following a fantastic, this is a really amazing blog called Red Dot Blog that I would highly recommend for all artists because this is a gentleman who's a gallery owner out of Scottsdale, Arizona, Jason Hales, and he's got a wonderful dialogue between artists and gallery. He's a gallery owner, so kind of helping artists learn what's the right process to go about for getting your stuff into galleries. As of November, I switched over to a new website. It's called Art Storefronts, and it's basically a website that's been designed for artists and photographers. And it's got all the backbone. It's basically you're buying a site that's been made for artists. And it's been a game changer for me. I mean, I've sold, since Christmas, I've sold 9 paintings, originals, and 6 prints, which is like in a few months, that's amazing. Like in all the years that I had my other site, I was selling paintings, but it was at a show, a couple here and there. So this has really made it accessible to, well, it's North America right now, but eventually I guess you could ship paintings anywhere in the world, right? So my new website has been really neat for that because I've learned a lot about e-marketing, how to do the emailing, how to do the business of sending out emails. After I had my show, I was terrible at follow-up before. And then all of a sudden, with this new website, they're really encouraging us as if you have an event, you have a follow-up with emails to people. Okay, so look, if you miss the event, maybe you would like to see my stuff online, just go to my website. And that's how I ended up selling a bunch of paintings. People couldn't make it to the show, but they definitely didn't mind buying something online. And I had a website that sold online. So that's been a big difference, a big game changer for me.
I think we covered a lot.
Yes,
sure
I
did,
think that's actually almost you answer all the questions that I mentioned before.
As we were going along.
Yes.
Good.
So thank you very much.
Oh, good. Awesome.
Thank
a
you.
little dirty
Thank
on
you.
that. That's great. Yeah, no, good fun to do. Good fun to do.